My throat feels tight, like I'm trying to swallow a golf ball. I'm staring at the picture on Instagram, a picture of him, my brother, Liam, leaning against a gleaming cherry red sports car, a car that screams I'm rich and successful, even though I'm actually a deadbeat. The caption reads, "Finally treated myself. New ride hashtag living the dream hashtag hard work pays off hard work." Seriously? The only hard work Liam's done in the last year is figuring out new ways to avoid my calls. The hard work he should be focusing on is paying back the $10,000 he owes me. $10,000. Let me rewind. Liam and I have always been close. We're Irish twins, barely a year apart. Growing up, we shared everything, toys, secrets, even a bunk bed until I was 13 and finally staged a coup to claim my own room. We fought, of course, like any siblings. But underneath it all, there was this unbreakable bond. Or, at least, that's what I thought. A year ago, Liam came to me, hat in hand, practically begging. He'd gotten himself into a mess, a bad investment gone south, and was on the verge of losing everything. He swore he was about to land a huge deal, that it was just a matter of weeks before he could pay me back. He painted this picture of impending success, of financial freedom, of him finally getting his act together. I'd always been the responsible one. The planner! The one who saved diligently, the one who thought things through. Liam was the opposite. The dreamer! The risk-taker. The one who always landed on his feet, even when he probably shouldn't have. He was charismatic, charming, the kind of guy everyone loved to be around. He knew how to work a room, how to make people believe in him. And I did. I always had. So, against my better judgment, I emptied my savings account. It wasn't just some idle cash I had lying around. It was money I'd been putting away for a down payment on a house. My dream, my future, gone. I remember the conversation vividly. We were sitting in my tiny apartment kitchen, the air thick with the smell of cheap coffee. He looked me in the eye, his usually bright blue eyes clouded with desperation. "Sarah, one swear to God, I'll pay you back," he'd said, his voice thick with emotion. "I just need a little help." This is it! This is my big break. I handed him the check, my hands trembling. I remember telling myself it was an investment in my brother, an investment in his future. Fool! Weeks turned into months. The huge deal never materialized. His phone calls became less frequent, his excuses more elaborate. He stopped answering my texts altogether. I tried to be understanding. I knew he was probably embarrassed, ashamed, but the radio silence was killing me. The anxiety gnawed at me, a constant, dull ache in my chest. I'd call him, leave voicemails, "Liam. Just let me know you're okay. We can figure something out. Just talk to me." Nothing. I started cutting back on everything. Eating ramen noodles for dinner, canceling my gym membership, saying no to nights out with friends. My dream of owning a home felt like it was slipping further and further away. All because I trusted my brother, all because I believed in him. And now, this, a brand new sports car. A shiny, expensive middle finger aimed directly at my heart. My blood is boiling. The rage is a living thing inside me, clawing its way up my throat. I want to scream. I want to break things. I don't even know what I want to do. Except, maybe, destroy that damn car. Okay, calm down, Sarah. Deep breaths. Don't do anything rash. Think. That's what I tell myself, anyway. But inside, I'm anything but calm. I feel like a pressure cooker about to explode. The first thing I need to do is confirm that this is actually his car. He could have borrowed it. Maybe it's a friend's. Maybe. I know I'm grasping at straws. The Instagram post is tagged with his location, a trendy restaurant in the city center. I know that area. It's where all the fancy dealerships are located. I spend the next hour scouring the internet, trying to find any information about Liam's supposed hard work. I check his LinkedIn profile. Nothing. His Facebook page. Nada. He hasn't posted anything in months, except for that damn car picture. I dig deeper. I search public records. I look for any evidence of a new business venture, a promotion, anything that would explain how he could afford a car like that. Nothing. He's a ghost, a financially irresponsible ghost driving a ridiculously expensive sports car. The only thing I find is a post on a local car enthusiast forum, someone bragging about spotting a cherry red the exact make and model as in the picture parked outside Liam's apartment building. The poster even included a picture, blurry but undeniable. It's his car! My stomach churns. This isn't just some fleeting purchase. This is a deliberate choice, a calculated decision to prioritize a luxury item over paying back the money he owes me. The rage is back, stronger than ever. But this time, there's something else mixed in, a cold, hard resolve. I need a plan. I can't just show up at his apartment and start screaming. That won't accomplish anything. I need to be smart. I need to be strategic. I spend the rest of the day doing research. I Google things like car security systems, best ways to disable a car, and legal consequences of damaging property, just to be safe, of course. I know, it sounds crazy, but I can't help myself. I'm consumed by this burning need for what? Justice? Revenge? I'm not sure anymore. I also call a few people I haven't spoken to in a while. Old friends, acquaintances, anyone who might have some insight into Liam's current life. One of them, a mutual friend named Mark, tells me something interesting. He says he saw Liam at a casino a few weeks ago, looking flush with cash. He was throwing money around like it was water, Mark says, his voice tinged with disapproval. I even asked him how he was doing, and he just shrugged and said he'd had a lucky streak. A lucky streak. So he's gambling away my money, my future. That's it. That's the final straw. The next evening, I drive to Liam's apartment complex. It's a newer building, all glass and steel, located in a trendy, up-and-coming neighborhood. Definitely not the kind of place someone who owes $10,000 should be living. I park a block away, in the shadows, and wait. I want to get a feel for the place, to observe his routine. I need to know when he comes and goes, who he hangs out with, where he parks his precious car. I watch for hours. People come and go, walking their dogs, carrying groceries, laughing and talking on their phones. It's a normal, ordinary evening. Except for me. I'm sitting in my car, seething with anger, plotting revenge. Around 10 p.m., I see him. Liam! He's walking out of the building, dressed in a sharp suit, talking on his phone. He looks good. Too good! Like he doesn't have a care in the world. He gets into his car, the cherry red sports car, and drives off. I follow him, keeping a safe distance. He drives to a swanky bar downtown, parks in valet, and disappears inside. Okay! This is my chance. I circle back to his apartment complex. The parking garage is underground, accessible by a keycard. I can't get in there, but I notice something else. There's a row of visitor parking spots right outside the building, on the street, and one of them is empty. Bingo! I pull into the spot and kill the engine. My heart is pounding in my chest. This is it. This is really happening. I get out of the car and walk around the building, pretending to be on my phone. I want to make sure no one is watching. The street is quiet, mostly deserted. A few people are walking their dogs, but they don't seem to be paying attention to me. I take a deep breath and walk back to the cherry red sports car. It's even more beautiful up close. The paint gleams under the streetlights. The lines are sleek and elegant. It's a masterpiece of engineering, and it's about to be my masterpiece of destruction. I'm not a violent person. I've never been in a fight in my life. The thought of actually damaging someone else's property makes me sick to my stomach. But this isn't just about property. This is about principle. This is about betrayal. This is about my future being sacrificed for his selfish desires. I open my trunk. I've spent the last few days gathering supplies, things that will cause maximum damage with minimal risk to myself. I have a baseball bat, a can of spray paint, a bag of sugar, and a key. The baseball bat is for obvious reasons. The spray paint is to leave a message. The sugar is to, well, you'll see. The key is the most important part. It's a generic key, the kind you can buy at any hardware store. But I've spent hours filing it down, shaping it, until it fits the gas tank of his car. I know, it's crazy, but I'm past the point of caring. I'm fueled by rage, by betrayal, by a desperate need to reclaim something that was taken from me. I grab the baseball bat and the spray paint. I take another deep breath and walk towards the car. My hands are shaking. My heart is racing. I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack. But I keep going. I stand in front of the car, baseball bat in hand, spray paint in the other. I hesitate. This is it. There's no turning back. I close my eyes and take a deep breath. I picture Liam, laughing, driving around in his new car, completely oblivious to the fact that he's ruining my life. That's all it takes. I open my eyes. My vision is clear. My resolve is firm. I raise the spray paint can and spray a single word across the hood of the car, payback. The paint hisses as it hits the metal, leaving a thick, dripping line of bright red. It's messy, crude, but effective. I drop the spray paint can and grab the baseball bat. I take another deep breath and swing. The bat connects with the windshield with a sickening thwack. The glass shatters, spiderwebbing across the surface. I swing again and again until the windshield is completely destroyed. I move on to the side mirrors. One swing each. Gone. Then the headlights. Smash! Smash! I'm not even thinking anymore. I'm just reacting, fueled by pure, unadulterated rage. I swing the bat at the door panels, denting the metal, leaving long, jagged scratches. I smash the taillights, sending shards of red plastic flying through the air. I'm a whirlwind of destruction, a force of nature, a woman scorned. I finally stop, panting, sweating, my arms aching. The car is a wreck, a mangled, twisted mess of metal and glass. It's beautiful. Okay, time for the final touch. I grab the bag of sugar from my trunk. This part is a little more subtle. I walk to the gas tank and open the cap. I pour the entire bag of sugar into the tank, making sure every last grain makes its way inside. I know that sugar in a gas tank is a classic act of sabotage. It's supposed to clog the engine, causing it to seize up and die. I don't know if it actually works, but I'm willing to try anything at this point. I close the gas tank and walk back to my car. I take one last look at the mangled remains of Liam's sports car. A small smile creeps across my face. It's not enough. It will never be enough to compensate for the betrayal, the lies, the stolen dreams. But it's a start. I get into my car and drive away, leaving the wreckage behind. The next morning, I wake up to a barrage of text messages and missed calls, mostly from Liam. I ignore them. I know what he wants. He wants to yell at me. He wants to accuse me. He wants to play the victim. I'm not going to give him the satisfaction. I go to work, trying to act normal, but inside I'm a mess. I'm terrified of getting caught. I'm worried about the consequences of my actions. I'm ashamed of myself for stooping so low, but I'm also relieved. A weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I finally did something. I finally stood up for myself. Around lunchtime, I get a call from my mom. "Sarah, what's going on?" she asks, her voice tight with concern. "Liam called me," he said. He said someone vandalized his car. "Oh, really?" I say, trying to sound nonchalant. "That's terrible. He thinks you did it," she says, her voice hardening. "He said you've been acting strange lately. He said you're angry about the money." "Mom, that's ridiculous," I say, my voice rising. Why would I do something like that? I don't know, Sarah, she says. But Liam is your brother. You need to talk to him. You need to sort this out. I don't want to talk to him, I say, my voice shaking. He owes me $10,000, Mom. He bought a sports car while I'm eating ramen noodles. How am I supposed to talk to him? There's a long silence on the other end of the line. I know he's been irresponsible, my mom finally says. But he's still your brother. You need to forgive him. Forgive him? Is she serious? I can't, Mom, I say, my voice breaking. I just can't. I hang up the phone and burst into tears. That evening, Liam shows up at my apartment. I open the door and he's standing there, his face a mask of fury. You did this, didn't you? He says, his voice trembling with rage. You destroyed my car. Maybe I did, I say, my voice cold. Maybe you deserved it. Deserved it? He shouts. I worked hard for that car. I finally achieved something. And you just took it away from me. You worked hard? I say, my voice dripping with sarcasm. You worked hard at gambling away my money? You worked hard at ignoring my calls. You worked hard at being a complete and utter jerk. That's not fair, he says, his voice cracking. I was going to pay you back. I just needed a little more time. Time? I say. You've had a year, Liam. A year! And all you've done is buy a sports car and gamble away my future. He opens his mouth to speak, but no words come out. He just stands there, staring at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of anger and shame. Get out, I say, my voice barely a whisper. Just get out of my life. He hesitates for a moment, then turns and walks away. I close the door and lean against it, sobbing. A week goes by. I haven't heard from Liam. I haven't heard from my mom. I'm completely alone. I start to regret what I did. I know that destroying his car was wrong. It was childish. It was illegal. But I can't bring myself to apologize. Not yet. One evening, I get a knock on my door. I open it, and a police officer is standing there. Sarah Miller? He says. Yes, I say, my heart sinking. I need you to come with me, he says. We have some questions for you. I know this is it. I'm going to jail. My life is over. I go with the officer to the police station. They put me in a small room and start asking questions. Where were you on the night of? I clam up. I can't do this. I can't lie. But then something unexpected happens. The officer stops asking questions. He leans back in his chair and sighs. Look, Miss Miller, he says. We know you vandalized your brother's car. I gasp. How do they know? We have security footage, he says. We saw you. My stomach drops. I'm done for. But then he says something that completely throws me for a loop. We also know that your brother has been involved in some questionable activities lately, he says. What do you mean? I ask, my voice trembling. We've been investigating him for months, he says. He's suspected of being involved in a money laundering scheme. Money laundering? Liam? We believe he used the money he borrowed from you to fund his illegal activities, the officer says. The sports car was likely purchased with laundered money. I'm stunned, speechless. I can't believe what I'm hearing. So you're saying, I stammer, you're saying he's a criminal? We're saying he's a person of interest, the officer says. We're still gathering evidence. But it's looking increasingly likely that he's involved in something big. He pauses, looking at me intently. We understand why you did what you did, he says. We're not going to press charges. But we need your help. The police want me to help them catch Liam. They want me to act as a confidential informant, to gather evidence against him. I'm terrified, but I also feel a sense of vindication. I knew something was wrong. I knew he was hiding something. I agreed to help. The police equip me with a wire and a hidden camera. They tell me what to say, what to ask. They coach me on how to act natural, how to avoid raising suspicion. I call Liam. He answers on the second ring. Sarah? he says, his voice cautious. Liam, I need to talk to you, I say, trying to sound contrite. I'm sorry about the car. I was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. There's a long silence on the other end of the line. I know, he says finally. I was wrong too. I shouldn't have borrowed the money. I shouldn't have lied to you. Can we meet? I ask. I want to make things right. He hesitates for a moment, then agrees. We meet at a coffee shop near my apartment. I'm nervous, my hands shaking. I keep glancing at the hidden camera, making sure it's still recording. Liam looks tired, stressed. He's lost weight. His eyes are bloodshot. So, he says, his voice flat, what do you want to talk about? I want to know what's going on, Liam, I say. I want to know why you borrowed the money. I want to know what you've been doing. He hesitates again, then sighs. It's complicated, he says. Tell me, I say. He tells me everything. He tells me about the money laundering scheme. He tells me about the people he's working with. He tells me about the risks he's taking. He tells me about the sports car. He admits that it was purchased with laundered money. He says he bought it to impress his business partners. As he's talking, I can't help but feel a flicker of pity. He's in over his head. He's made a terrible mistake. But I also know that he deserves to be punished. He's hurt me. He's hurt my family. He's broken the law. When he's finished talking, I look him in the eye. I'm going to help you, Liam, I say, but you need to turn yourself in. You need to tell the police everything. He stares at me, his eyes filled with disbelief. You're crazy, he says. I can't do that. They'll send me to prison. Maybe, I say, but it's the right thing to do. It's the only way to fix this. Liam refuses to turn himself in. He says he's too scared. He says he doesn't want to go to prison. I'm disappointed, but not surprised. The police tell me to keep gathering evidence. They want me to record more conversations, to learn more about his accomplices. I do as they ask. It's terrifying, but I push myself. I know that I'm doing the right thing. One night, Liam calls me, frantic. They know, Sarah, he says, his voice trembling. The police are on to me. I need to get out of here. Where are you going to go? I ask. I don't know, he says. But I can't stay here. They'll arrest me. Meet me, I say. I can help you. I meet him at a deserted parking garage. The police are waiting in the shadows, ready to make the arrest. Liam arrives, looking pale and shaken. Thank you for helping me, Sarah, he says. I don't know what I would have done without you. It's okay, Liam, I say. Just trust me. I give him a hug. As I'm hugging him, I give a signal to the police. They emerge from the shadows, guns drawn. Liam Miller, you're under arrest, one of the officers says. Liam's eyes widen in terror. He tries to run, but the police quickly subdue him. They handcuff him and lead him away. As they're taking him, he looks at me, his eyes filled with betrayal. How could you, Sarah? He says. How could you do this to me? I don't say anything. I just watch as they drive him away. Liam goes to trial a few months later. I'm called to testify. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. I have to relive the entire ordeal, to recount every lie, every betrayal. I see Liam in the courtroom. He looks different, older, worn down. He avoids making eye contact with me. The prosecution presents a mountain of evidence against him. The recordings I made, the testimony of his accomplices, the financial records. It's an open and shut case. Liam is found guilty on all charges. He's sentenced to 10 years in prison. I feel a mix of emotions. Sadness, relief, guilt. I visit him in prison a few weeks later. He's sitting behind a glass partition wearing an orange jumpsuit. He looks defeated. I'm sorry, Sarah, he says, his voice barely audible. I messed up. I ruined everything. I know, I say. I don't blame you for what you did, he says. I deserved it. I don't hate you, Liam, I say. I just want you to get better. I want you to learn from your mistakes. I will, he says. I promise. It's been a few years since Liam went to prison. I've moved on with my life. I bought a house. Not the dream house I had originally planned, but a cozy little bungalow that I can afford on my own. I have a good job. I have good friends. I'm happy. But I still think about Liam. I still worry about him. I visit him in prison every few months. He's changed. He's more mature, more thoughtful. He's taking classes. He's reading books. He's trying to make amends for his past mistakes. He's still my brother, and I still love him. Remember the car? The cherry red sports car that started all this? Well, here's another twist. After Liam was arrested, the police seized the car. It was considered evidence and then, eventually, forfeited. I assumed it would just be sold at auction, another piece of Liam's life disappearing into the bureaucratic void. But then, a few months after the trial, I got a letter from the district attorney's office. They were returning the car to me. Apparently, because the car had been purchased with money Liam stole from me, it was legally considered mine. I was stunned. I didn't want the damn car. It was a symbol of everything that had gone wrong. It was a reminder of Liam's betrayal, of my anger, of the whole messy, painful chapter of my life. I called the DA's office. I told them I didn't want it. I told them to sell it at auction. I told them to donate the money to charity. But they insisted. Legally, the car was mine. So I took it. It sat in my driveway for weeks, covered in a tarp. I couldn't bring myself to look at it. I couldn't bring myself to drive it. It was a constant reminder of everything I had lost. Then, one day, I had an idea. I decided to fix the car. I know it sounds crazy, but I felt like I needed to do it. I needed to reclaim something from all the destruction. I took it to a local body shop. The owner, a gruff but kind man named Tony, looked at the car and shook his head. "This is going to be a lot of work," he said. "Are you sure you want to do this?" "Yes," I said. "I'm sure." Tony and his crew spent months working on the car. They replaced the windshield. They repaired the dents. They repainted the body. They brought it back to life. When it was finally finished, it looked brand new. Gleaming cherry red, just like it did in Liam's Instagram post. But this time, it was different. This time, it wasn't a symbol of greed and betrayal. This time, it was a symbol of resilience and redemption. I started driving the car. At first, it felt strange, almost wrong. But as I drove, I started to feel something else. Power. The car was a reminder that I had survived, that I had overcome adversity, that I had emerged stronger than before. The next time I visited Liam in prison, I told him about the car. He looked at me, his eyes filled with surprise. "You fixed it?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I fixed it." "Why?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. "I guess I just needed to do it. I needed to reclaim something." He was quiet for a moment. "Thank you," he said finally. "For what?" I asked. "For not giving up on me," he said. "For giving me another chance." I smiled. "You're welcome," I said. Liam is scheduled to be released from prison in a few years. He has a plan. He wants to start a business. A legitimate business. He wants to make something of his life. I believe he can do it. I'm going to help him. I know it's a risk. I know he could fail. I know he could hurt me again. But I'm willing to take that chance. He's my brother, and I love him. As for the car, I still drive it. It's a reminder of everything I've been through. It's a reminder of the power of forgiveness. It's a reminder that even the most broken things can be fixed. Sometimes, I still get flashes of anger. Sometimes, I still think about that baseball bat and that can of spray paint. Sometimes, I still want to scream. But then I look at the car. I look at how far I've come. I look at the progress Liam is making. And I know that everything is going to be okay. Maybe even better than okay. The end.